So, typically in a high conflict divorce in Florida, the signs can be somewhat clear and they can also be a little bit ambiguous. So, it's very case specific. If there is a case where a party has a lot of substance misuse issues, so if you're looking at drugs, alcohol, and they're acting irrationally, that means you're going to court a lot, you're having to litigate a lot of issues, you're probably not going to reach an agreement outside of court. So, that's the first indication of a high conflict divorce. The other indication, if there's a lot of assets at play, so if you have a house, a business, a car, people tend to not want to give up their things when they're going through a divorce process, especially if one party has more to lose than the other. They tend to get attached to their items, and so that can mean that there's probably going to be more to discuss, more to try to settle, and it's probably going to be more high conflict. Parenting issues are always high conflict. People are very specific about what they want to happen with their kids, and a lot of times when you're going through a divorce, it's not because you guys can get along, and so sometimes there's a lot of butting heads in regards to child issues, from public school to private school, from where they should, spend their afternoons, what activities, who pays for what. So all of those are indications that it's probably going to be a more litigious and complex divorce. So false accusations can be very difficult to handle. A lot of times people will exaggerate facts in their favor. That's pretty common. And I always tell people that at the end of the day, the truth will come out in court one way or another. Typically, if I believe somebody's lying to me in a case, I will do a deposition. I try to get their testimony on record. I try to get them to contradict themselves because people tend to not be able to keep their lies straight. So it's difficult when somebody is lying in a divorce. It's difficult when somebody's not telling the truth, but just know that I will try to handle it in court with the judge so the judge can see the truth of what actually is going on. A divorce can be very, very mentally challenging and complex. There's a lot of emotions at play during a divorce. Your entire life is changing, sometimes overnight, sometimes by the end of the divorce. So what I suggest to protect somebody's mental well-being is to try to enroll themselves in therapy so they have a trained professional that can help guide them through the process and navigate the emotions of an extremely emotional situation. It's usually never easy to go through a divorce, and I always tell my clients that because I believe that they need to know. But at the end of the day, most people are happier at the end of the divorce. So during the divorce process, speaking to a therapy, having a support system, making sure that you have time for yourself and your mental well-being. Compromise in a divorce is an extremely personal decision. At the end of the day, what I tell my clients is I'm not the one that has to live the life after the divorce is over. So you have to live with whatever settlement you come to and whatever compromise you make. There are times and situations where compromise shouldn't happen, and that's when there's children's safety at risk. If you truly believe that your child is not safe in the other parent's custody, then that's something that you probably don't want to compromise. I have had situations where my clients have compromised against my advice, and I've actually had to have them sign CYAs for myself saying I'm doing this against my counsel's advice. So I'm very upfront and honest with clients if I don't believe they should compromise and they should try to push towards litigation. But at the end of the day, it is ultimately up to you because it is your decision in your case. So it is entirely up to the client whether or not you compromise or not, because you have to live it at the end of the day. If you have any questions about high conflict divorce, what to expect, how to handle certain situations, please contact us at cooperandcooperpa.com to set up a consultation to discuss everything further.